the post-purchase experience is important for the customer journey. It's also important for you to not have chargebacks and angry customers. It doesn't have to be said. And the way we do it is through emails. You can also do it through text message, but in this video, we're going to talk about emails. So the questions you want to ask yourself when talking about the post-purchase experience is what happens after someone makes a purchase? How do they know what's happening with the money that they just spent with you? And what about buyer's remorse, which is why I've added this GIF. No regrets, right? That's exactly what buyer's remorse is. A lot of customers, when they make a buying decision, they will feel remorseful about that buying decision. They will regret it. And these are all the questions that you have to answer and ask yourself when you want to put yourself in the shoes of a customer. So this document is designed to help you make sure that customers don't feel betrayed, they don't feel scammed, or they don't feel buyer's remorse for making a purchase through you. And it's important to leverage this part of the customer journey and use it to enhance your brand, because this is a part where you can get some really good things out of your customers, whether it's helping deliverability, reducing chargebacks, building that trust so they keep coming back, i.e. LTV, as well as getting data and assets from them, which I'll talk about in a second. So the topics that we're going to cover today are the Shopify metrics on Klaviyo, so transactional order updates. And what transactional means is just any activity that happens. So an order confirmation, it's being shipped, something's happening to their order, something's happening to the amount of money you just sent, a refund, all of those things that are transactional. The second thing is third-party metrics on Klaviyo. The third thing is customer nurturing, and the fourth thing is customer support. Then I've also attached or explained 3 bonuses. Bonus number 1 is Google and Trustpilot reviews. Bonus number 2 is Shopify App Reviews. And bonus number 3 is acquiring data and or assets from those customers. So starting with the Shopify metrics on Klaviyo, these are the few metrics on Klaviyo that can directly pass onto Klaviyo. Through Shopify onto Klaviyo. So you have the confirmed shipment, you have the delivered shipment, you have the fulfilled order, you have marked out for delivery, you have ordered product, and you have placed order. And then following this little mini guide and example message, so I've got an example message here with the Klaviyo dynamic codes. So your order, and then a dynamic code for the order number is you describe what's happening to it, and then a reminder of what you ordered, and I go into a few steps. Step 1 is understanding all of these dynamic codes, the product name, the quantity, the dynamic image URL, the dynamic product link, the link address, the price in 2 decimal points, the order number, etc., etc. I've written it all down here, and I'm going to attach this with the video that you're watching, this whole document. And the second and third step, is the table. Now, this table element in Klaviyo is very useful for anything dynamic. So this also applies to things like abandoned cart, for having, dynamic blocks that feed from Shopify events. So for example, if they abandon a product, it feeds and gives you this beautiful table that customers can see. So same thing for post-purchase. We give them a reminder of what they purchased, right? What they just purchased. You can show it. The image is dynamic. The text is dynamic. Everything is dynamic. Some of these things you can kind of ignore. For example, the link address. So if you don't want the image to go to a product page, you just get rid of it. Or if you don't want if you don't want the price or the quantity, or you only want the quantity, you don't want a reminder of how much they paid, you can remove the price. And I've written a little note that if you are selling in multiple currencies, there's a little guide by Klaviyo that I've attached for updating currencies. And then step 4, this will only apply if you've shipped the order. So if it's like an order confirmation email where you're just thanking them and telling them their order details rather than any tracking, any shipping that's happened, then you don't need to include this. But this is also a little tracking link that's dynamically fed from Shopify. Cool. The next thing I want to talk about is the third-party metrics. So this is for a lot of you dropshippers that use Yen Xiaomi if you have a private agent. You might want to be using third-party apps like Track123, which is the example I'm going to use today, where you will have to use their API, not Shopify. And their API usually have their own variables that can pass through to Klaviyo. I've attached 2 links here. So for example, if we have this for the order name, that's going to be on Shopify, but maybe like the city Klaviyo code might be different on Track123, and that's what you gotta figure out with these 2 guys that I've attached. Even the trigger is a little different. On here, it's Shopify to Klaviyo metric. It's literally just confirm shipment. Whereas on Track123 on the right, you can see that you gotta not only add the trigger, but you also gotta add a little filter. And that filter is gonna be order delivered, because you can see Track123 shipment status update. And then that status update, you gotta filter it. So this is just the things that you gotta be mindful of, and you gotta go through different guides to do so, to set it up properly. But now that these 2 transactional order updates are out of the way, let's move on to number 3, which is customer nurturing. It's time to show your customers that you actually care about them, starting with what we talked about earlier, which is buyer's remorse. So someone who buys and has remorse, like I said earlier, the goal of this customer nurturing sequence or post-purchase sequence is to really combat this feeling and do some real nurturing so that they feel like they're getting a good product, they feel like they're part of something, and they will not feel regret from spending X amount on your brand/store. So it's getting them excited, it's getting them to use it, it's getting them to come back for more, and starting the cycle of referring friends and family to your brand/store. Now, obviously, I know a lot of you direct response guys don't really care about this LTV thing. You'd rather sell LTV upfront. That's fine. It's still good to nurture them from not wanting to charge back and refunding you and taking advantage of, say, your offer that has a money back guarantee. So the first step is to thank them, of course, obviously. That's a little trust booster. And step 2 is to combat that buyer's remorse immediately. For example, here we have Neurogit, a Shilajit brand, and you guys know, or for those of you guys that know, Shilajit is incredibly competitive, which means right now it's at a product aware market. So we have to do a lot of comparisons. So we have to handle this buyer's remorse ASAP, because they're gonna go on Amazon, they're gonna look at other brands, they're gonna think, have I been ripped off? Could I have just bought from this brand instead of the one I just bought from? That sort of thing. There's other things to combat. For Neurogit/Shilajit specifically, we had to combat the idea of other brands. It's a good way to combat buyer's remorse, by the way. There are other ways to do it. You know, your USPs that stand out, or anything that you think will resonate with your audience. Step 3 is to get them to use what they actually bought. So product adoption. So for example, with IceLink, what we did was we told the customers how they can actually take care of the jewelry so that, you know, they didn't damage it, they don't complain, they don't complain and feel good about using it because they know what to do with it. Like for example, in apparel, if you're selling 100% cotton stuff, you might want to tell them how to wash it, right? Or if you're selling a gadget, you might want to give them thorough instructions, or even just send like an ebook or a little quick guide, right? And then the 4th step is to check in with them, see how they're doing, remind them of the benefits, why they shop in the first place. And I would do a plain text email for this so it feels more authentic. You might even want to do it from the team or from the founder. So they feel like it's a real, you actually care about them and how they're going. This also kind of gets into the 5th step. It kind of connects together, is that you can gather feedback and subsequently you can ask for reviews. For example, this is a little survey that we'll sometimes set up for clients. Welcome to brand. What's your email? Are you a man or a woman? What's your occupation? How old are you? Where did you hear about us? How easy was shopping through us? What made it easy? And a bunch of other questions that are good for a first-time buyer. Right? So this is going to be bonus to 1 too, by the way. And we're going to get to that in a short bit. So the next thing and the final thing that's not a bonus is customer support. So I don't need to tell you guys how important customer support is. You guys know how important it is. It's very, very important. But if you guys are letting it be sort of mediocre, you're going to have problems in the future. So I've created a quick little checklist and see how many of these, these boxes your customer support system currently ticks. For example, mailbox filters, a ticketing system, whether that's software or you figure out yourself. Responses are by humans, not AI, because a lot of those inquiries are going to be custom and that needs a custom touch, human touch. You reply within 2 business days. That's quite important. If it takes you 3 days or more to reply to someone about a very simple question, they're going to feel like you're a scam. And then they're going to go on Trustpilot, go on Google Reviews, go on TikTok, make a video about you, etc. You have an autoresponder. This is really, really good. It's high leverage because you can tell in this autoresponder, you can tell them shipping timelines. You can inform them that there are going to be potential delays. You can also tell them your reply rate. So if you tell them it might take us 2 business days to get back to you, they're not going to be as mad if you do take 2 business days to get back to them. You can even link like an FAQ, right? You also have a follow-up procedure for your customer support. That's following up on customer inquiries, following up on email campaign replies, flow replies, just replies, right? Or just customer inquiries. You also have a resolutions procedure that outlines your most common email/text inquiries, concerns, and questions that customers have. So it's kind of like an FAQ responder for your team. And then you also have like let me get back to you on this procedure. So what happens when your team doesn't know what is this customer asking? I don't understand. And then you also have a procedure for that. So situations like that, where you buy some time for you to handle it or someone else to handle it that knows what the answer to that question is. And obviously, if you don't have good customer service, you're going to have a lot of angry/annoyed customers that might charge back and do all sorts of things. And because customer service is going to be through email, it makes sense that it pairs really well with email marketing, right? Then customers feel like your messages relate to them, and simultaneously, your customer service makes them feel understood and heard. It's a recipe for higher LTV, higher, loyalty, or at least reduced chargebacks. Cool. So the next thing, which is going to be the first bonus, is Trustpilot and Google Reviews. Now, Trustpilot and Google are really important platforms/channels for social proof and for people to, validate if you are legit or not. And because this is the belief that people have with Trustpilot and Google Reviews is that it's transparent, right? They are transparent. That's the belief people have. So starting with Trustpilot, right? We can set up something automated where 1 to 3 star reviews get redirected to something that resembles Trustpilot. Now, this is grey hat, keep in mind, or just a regular feedback form. And then for 4 to 5 star reviews, we send them to the direct evaluation/feedback link of Trustpilot, of your brand. Just here is a little example graphic that I've made. So your email goes up here, and then at the bottom you have these, and they all have links, right? You click on this, it goes here. You click on this, it goes here. Click on this, it goes here. You click on these 2, any one of these 2, it goes to the Trustpilot. So you can do this for like an automated flow or campaign if you want to gather it quickly. And then for Google Reviews, it's the same thing. I've also attached like a little guide, which is with Google Reviews, you go to your Google business profile, and then you click read reviews, and then you click get more reviews. And then you choose the shared link, then you copy that link, and that's the link that will go here. This will be like a same thing where I said up here, but it will be for Google. And then the second bonus is going to be Shopify App Reviews. So I've put 5 here with the integration link. Judge Me, Luke's, Okendo, Reviews.io, and Yotpo Reviews. These are just common apps that get used. If you use others, you can Google it. It's not too hard to find them. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of these apps themselves. I'm just going to attach the integration links above. But I'll get into the fundamentals. So the first is the trigger metric, which is what starts a flow. So for Judge Me, for example, it says eligible for Judge Me review request. And this goes into the second point, which is the timing. And a lot of the time, it will just depend on the app. And this is what happens when someone is eligible for a review. And this is, configured in the app. So therefore, the segmentation as well is technically configured in the app. Like, who are you sending it to? You configure it in the app for these apps at least. And then number 3 is the email itself. So email templates, right? They'll have different dynamic links, just like above when I talked about, the different third-party tracking apps. It's similar concept, but for shipping. But it's not shipping, it's review apps that have their own code. And here's a little example. I'll make it bigger since it's already overflowing. Right? What did you think of your purchase? And then you have like a dynamic block. And then bonus number 3, which is the last bonus, is acquiring data and/or assets. So it's time to get some content, some research data, and some feedback from your subscribers. So you've got to ask yourself, why should a subscriber answer a short survey from you, record a video, take a photo, or tell you about their personal lives? Once you think about this question, you might think of value propositions. Some people are driven by compassion, empathy, helping others, etc. And some people like the materialistic things. Money, discounts, free products, right? And you got to test it yourself. You're guaranteed to have at least some responses, but if you test it, you'll know what works better for your audience or your subscribers specifically. So you can weaponize empathy or you can weaponize these money payoffs. You just have to test it. I don't like to think of, your subscribers are people from this lens, but that's how you got to think of it when it comes to marketing. Anything in marketing, we got to think of it from a pure objective standpoint, nothing to do with empathy or human, this human to human sort of thing. That's just the nature of marketing. So a few things to consider is, when in the customer journey does it make sense to start asking for things like surveys? Who should we ask it from? What payoffs can we offer to obtain things that are like personal information or videos? How are we going to use these things that we collect? Once you answer these questions, you know what you're going to collect, you know how you're going to collect it, and you know who you're going to collect it, right? For example, you can collect a survey like this that we wrote for Nirajit. Thank you for choosing Nirajit. And then we give them 10% off. And the 5 most detailed responses will even receive free product. I think that's a good incentive for them to finish a survey. Or a UGC like this. They will use 25%. We're not going to give them the code after they post the video or photo. We're gonna encourage them to buy and then post with 25% off. So that concludes the document. If you guys want more from me, just be sure to check out my Twitter and check out my YouTube. I post more content there to hopefully educate you guys more about email/SMS marketing. And if you are generating 50K a month or more, and you want help with all the things that I've described, creating a really solid post-purchase journey for your customers, I have a link to book a call with me. It's also going to be anything attached to this video. I've also attached 2 resources, a deliverability resource and a 30% plus attribution guide. So without further ado, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got value out of it and execute it so that you can see the value in reality.